What's up, Bodyweight Warriors? Welcome back to another follow along. Today we're going to be looking at flexibility for golfers. This is going to help you get into a better position, generate more power, and also help with some of those niggles or aches that may come from playing. For this routine, you're not going to need any equipment, but you might want to have some yoga blocks or some cushions just in case to bolster up some positions. Other than that, some time and space, and let's jump into this routine. Right, we're going to kick things off with some neck and shoulder mobilizations, something called the Lewitt technique. So we're going to start with both hands out to the side. We're going to rotate one palm facing up to the sky, the other palm facing down. We're going to look to the palm up hand. We're going to reach the hand away. We're going to look and lift. And then as we change breath, so inhaling or exhaling, we're going to swap to the other side and repeat that movement. So palms come up, other palm comes down. And just keep it continuous with the pace of your breath. We're going to do about 60 seconds of this one. And just looking for that continuous movement, always reaching the hands away and really thinking about feeling some shoulder rotation going on. You don't need to be seated, by the way, in the same way that I am when I'm doing this one. You can be sat on a chair, you can be stood up. Doesn't matter as long as the torso is free to move. So just another 10 seconds here. Last side. Perfect, and hopefully we're going to get some movement now a little bit in the neck. We're going to look at opening up the shoulders and the chest. So we're going to come into a quadrupedal all fours position. We're going to start with the left hand side. So I'm going to reach my hand out diagonally forward and to the side, and then supporting with the other hand. So we're going to start on the left side, support on the right side. Just going to try and drop this shoulder down. So I'm just looking to find a point of stretch that's going straight into the chest. And I also want to slightly feel like I'm going to twist my torso as well away from that arm. So now once we have a point of stretch, we're just going to try and do a little bit of PNF. So I'm going to think about pressing that hand down into the ground. So like I'm going to feel the chest contract. Build it up, 10%, 20%, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're going to exhale, you're going to try and drop that shoulder down towards the ground and then also twist the chest away from the arm. Just going to hold this for another 10 seconds. Nice deep breath into the chest if you can do. Perfect. Come out of that one. Back to that quadruped position. We're going to go right hand now, so diagonally forward and out to the side, onto the elbow. I'm going to drop that shoulder down towards the ground. I'm going to twist my chest away, open it up. Feel a good stretch over the chest. You can move around a little bit, so higher or lower, to try and find where's right for you. And again, I think I'm pressing that hand down to the ground, starting off light. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale and rotate a little bit further into this position. Again, nice deep breath. Try to breathe into the chest, expand the chest. And then on the exhale, try to drop slightly deeper into this position. Perfect. Come out of it, stay in that same quadruped position. We're actually going to now do a little bit of active flexibility because golf is a dynamic sport. So on this same left hand side, we're going to put left hand on the back of the head, supported with this bottom arm. I'm going to try and rotate around as much as possible and try and look up towards the sky, drive the elbow up. We're going to hold this for about 4 or 5 seconds. And then we're going to come back down and drop that elbow as close as we can, keeping this right arm straight. We're going to do 5 of these, pausing for 5 seconds each time. And the effort is to try and feel like you're pushing away from the ground and really trying to rotate the elbow as high as you can. If you can do, try to think about inhaling as you lift up. Exhaling as you come back down, that's 3, so 2 more. Really feeling that mid back working, the bottom arm working, pushing away. This last one here. Wide as you can. Shake it off. I'm going to swap sides, so same kneeling all fours position. Left arm stays nice and solid. Right hand on the back of the head. Drop down. I'm going to rotate around, looking up to the sky with the elbow. Nice deep breath. Exhale. Come back down. 4 more. Reaching all the way around. Holding for each one for 4 or 5 seconds. So 2 more. Last one here. Really, the further you can try and reach around, the better. Try to look, your eyes will follow. Lovely. So now we're going to just stretch that position passively as well. So I'm going to stay in this quadruped position. I'm going to take my right arm, I'm going to reach as far through as I can do and just drop this shoulder down to the ground. I can relax a little bit here. I now have my left arm and I can use it as well as looking to try and look up towards the sky and push round. So this is going to bring a little bit more of a passive stretch of a rotation. Whereas now, previously, the middle of our back was working. Now we're just going to get a bit more of a stretch. So we're just going to hold this for another 30 seconds. And the focus should be on trying to deep breathe. So inhaling into the chest as you exhale. Try to turn and twist more into an open position. One more deep breath here. Twist a bit further. Lovely. Same position. Right arm down. Left arm goes through. Reach as far as you can. Rolling onto the shoulder to support. Relax the head. Look up towards the sky. And again, nice deep breath. Inhaling, expanding the chest. Exhaling. Try to twist just that little bit deeper. You may notice that one side feels just a little bit more comfortable than the other. And obviously golf is a very one-sided sport, so you might want to just spend an extra bit, a couple extra breaths, pause the video on the side that feels tighter. Perfect. Okay, we're going to do the last sort of drill that's connecting the upper body to the lower body, and that's going to be with a bit of an active sort of side plank. So we're going to start on the right hand side here. Right leg is going to be bent to 90 degrees and your left leg's going to be straight. So we're going to be able to like lift into kind of a side plank position. So we're going to be active over this side. But what I want you to do is as you lift, you're going to try and reach with the hand, and you're really going to try and crunch up as much as possible. So we're going to try and arch as much as possible, crunch up as much as possible here, and reach as much over. So I'm going to try and make the top side of my body as long as I can. Similar to that rotational, we're going to hold it for 5 reps, holding for 5 seconds on each effort. So we should feel a stretch over the top and a crunching on the bottom side. So arm underneath the shoulder, right leg bent, left leg straight. Here, we're going to go and reach, push away from the floor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then come back down. 5 seconds at the top of each of those holds. This stretch is really going to be dependent on your own strength and your own ability to contract that side, push up. Two more here. And last one. Beautiful. We're going to roll over. We're going to repeat that same thing on the other side. So this time we're going to have left leg bent, right leg's going to be straight, left arm underneath the shoulder. Same thing when it lift up, really crunch, try to lift the left side as high as possible, reach with the right arm. 5 seconds on each rep. Just 4 more to go. Try to inhale as you come up. Really big squeeze, big crunch with the side. Should be kind of hard, kind of challenging. And last one here. Perfect. We're going to come back to a seated position now, and we're going to form some hip swivels. So to do this, we need to be seated on the floor. We're going to have the feet just outside shoulder width, support ourselves with the hands behind, chest nice and upright. We're going to drop both legs to the left hand side to start with. Pause for a few seconds, but try to keep that torso facing forward. And then rotate back round to the other side, drop both legs to the right hand side, chest staying facing forward. We'll do 10 of these in total. Just rotating back and forth, pausing for a couple of seconds, just to loosen up the hips and the lower back before we look at stretching them. So again, the aim here is just to try and keep the torso facing forward and letting the hips and the lower back move and do the work. It's a common thing, especially with golfers who are a little bit restricted. If the hips can't move, then the lower back is the thing that's going to be doing all the work. So we're going to finish now on this right-hand side, and we're going to fold forward into a 90-90 position. So we've got this rear leg coming out at 90 degrees, bent 90, front leg at 90, leg going straight. With a neutral back, so thinking about pulling forward with the belly button, not just rounding, we're going to try and roll forward into a good glute stretch. If you're not able to get into a good stretch here, you might benefit from just taking a yoga block or a cushion, put it under your hips so you can get a little bit higher, and then you're going to find it easier to fold forward. So I'm going to hinge over forward with the torso, and then what you're going to do is just reach this left arm now. So I'm getting a bit more of a twist and reach it across my body. So I'm going to try and get this left shoulder down towards the ground. Now we're just going to hold this for 60 seconds. So whilst we're holding this, again, thinking about breathing. Nice deep breath, and then every time you exhale, try to sink that shoulder just a little bit further down into the stretch. When you're breathing here, really think about breathing down into the belly button. So breathing into the lower back. And you should have a nice stretch over the front leg glute and into the lower back as well. And keep going just for another 10 seconds. Really try to get that shoulder down, as much rotation as you can do. Beautiful. Now on this rear leg, we're going to stay in the same position, and we're going to try and do the same thing as before. So I'm really going to try and twist this torso. And I'm thinking about trying to twist into this back hip. So I'm trying to get this back hip down towards the ground. Now if it doesn't feel super comfortable, just bend the leg slightly. That's going to make this a little bit easier. Or if you've got a bit more flexibility, keep it at 90 degrees and just try to twist into this back leg and try to feel like you're getting your sternum over the hip. Again, just some deep breaths. We're going to hold this one for 30 seconds. In golf, we're going to need both internal and external rotation of the hip, but primarily we're going to need better internal rotation so we can really twist in and out of the swing. Okay, last little breath here. And we're just going to reverse that motion again. So we're going to take that little hip swivel. We're going to finish now on the left-hand side. So we've got our left leg forward at 90, rear leg out at 90, bent to 90. And same thing, we're going to pull forward with the belly button, hinge over that front leg, get a good stretch over this glute. Right hand is going to reach across the body. I'm going to try and get that right shoulder down towards the ground. Now, just like the rotation, you might notice that one side is doing a little bit better than the other. And again, that's kind of perfectly normal, to be expected, but you might want to just pause the video, spend a little bit more time on that tighter feeling side, just, a few more breaths, or do a second set. Again, just taking the time to breathe. Nice deep breaths, exhale. Each time you exhale, you should be able to go just that little bit further into this stretch. Got another 20 seconds or so here. Okay, last breath. And we're going to come back to that center position now. We're going to repeat that same internal rotation stretch on this side. And you want to really think about twisting over this rear knee. Really trying to get that sternum facing over the knee and pulling this hip down towards the ground. Try to think about breathing into the belly button, down into the lower back. And then as you exhale, just try to give a little bit more pressure and twist a little bit further into the end position. I'm just going to hold this for another 10 seconds. All right, we're going to move on to a hamstring stretch here. So we're going to grab these yoga blocks. Probably going to want the yoga blocks. We're going to come and stand in a bent leg hamstring stretch. So standing, going to fold forward, but just allow the legs to hinge and squat so we can feel like our stomach is resting on our thighs. Now, if you can comfortably touch the floor here, fantastic, but you might want just a little bit of support so you can get a little bit higher. So a chair or something to lean on would be great. Some yoga blocks, edge of a sofa also works well. With this support, we're going to feel like we can push one leg back. So I'm going to straighten my left leg. And then whilst doing that, I'm going to try and pull my right knee forward. So I'm going to get this hamstring stretch on the left leg, twisting of the hips. Pause for a few seconds, and then I'll reverse that motion. So straighten the other leg and pull the other knee forward. So we're just going to move back and forth, pausing for a few seconds. We're going to do 60 seconds in total here. So pause as much as you need to, there's no rush. And really feel this one out. We're going to be getting a good hamstring stretch. But we're also getting like a tilting of the pelvis. So we can get really into the corners of our flexibility in the pelvis and create some space. This one you can think about, the more you can think about trying to straighten this leg, but then pull this other knee forward as it's bending, you're going to get much more into the lower back. Another 15 seconds. If you can do now, maybe you're feeling a little bit looser, you can drop the hands down a bit, even work towards the floor, but just continue that same movement. Last few seconds. Beautiful. Right, let's come down into the final stretch here. So come into that kneeling position again. We're going to work just on a lunge position. We're going to take the right leg forward, right by our hands by the feet. Let this right knee drop out to the side. And then we're going to think about just letting this left hip drop down, let gravity do its work. So we're getting a nice stretch over the hip flexor. But we're also getting a little bit of a stretch kind of going into our side as well. This one here, we're going to hold 45 seconds per side. And really, we're just going to try and breathe into the area of stretch. So I'm going to think about breathing down into my hip whilst Molly battles with the stone. Right, another 15 seconds here. Nice deep breaths. Just really just let gravity do its thing, and you might get also a stretch going into your left groin as well. Right, let's let that right leg come back, left leg come forward. We're going to do the same stretch. So hands at foot line, let the left knee drop out to the side, sink all this weight onto this right arm, and then just let that right hip pull down towards the floor. And again, we're going to do 45 seconds. Nice deep breaths into kind of wherever you feel the restriction. But thinking sort of down right into the belly. Another 15 seconds here. Last deep breath. And that is basically the routine. Flexibility is a slow and stable one. Don't expect to see instant results, but I think if you're consistent with this routine, you're going to feel like you're able to rotate and get into a better position, and hopefully that helps your golf game out. As always, if you enjoyed this one, you can hit that thumbs up button. Don't miss out on any more future videos with the subscribe button down below. And if you want to suggest your sport or any other recommendations for routines, leave it in the comment section down below. Other than that, catch you the next one. Have a strong week. Peace.